We have the concept of wars were fought, political battles, and actual fighting. Was there a civil war? Why was there the War of 1812 or the Mexican and American War? Why did they fight these wars? One of the main reasons, not the only reason, was the ongoing debate about the expansion of slavery. Not the abolishment of slavery, because that was a different battle, but expanding it. So we have these states uh, on the East Coast, the Southeast, the Northeast. What about the Midwest and the Far West? Are we going to Texas, Nebraska, Utah, New Mexico? Are we going to these places? And is slavery going to be allowed or not? They fought over this. So even if they didn't have a problem with slavery being in the South, they had a problem with slavery expanding in the West. Expanding in the West. And that was a political, economic, social problem. And those who were against slavery in the South and the southern states of slavery, they had different arguments that they used. Just like those in the South had arguments that they used against the people that they called Yankees. So obviously they said that slavery is an abomination. It's a means of degrading a human being. It's a means of ruining yourself. It's etc. It's also a means of destroying the earth. It places a strain on the soil, and the list goes on of the problems that they had against slavery. And those who supported slavery, they said that you can't be a true Christian and say that slavery is bad. You can't be a true Christian and say that slavery is an abomination and a peculiar institution. And that's because slavery was clearly established and allowed in the Old Testament. And it was not abolished in the Second Testament. It was not abolished. So the rule remains. And from those who had slaves was, they say, Abraham. They said Abraham has slaves. So how can you profess to be a Christian and a believer in the faith and believer in Jesus Christ and say that you can't have a person who's a what? Who's a slave, let alone the other things that I mentioned in their books of one race being superior to another, one race being made in the image of God, and the list goes on of their proofs and the evidences that they use to mandate slavery. So the point, Heather, is that these Christian people, they used for their political, social, religious, whatever type of position they were taking, they used the action of who? Ibrahim alayhi salam. And intasabat ilayhi. They claimed to follow Abraham and to be upon his way. The Jews, they what? And of course the Muslims believe and accept and love and respect what? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So therefore, many people they don't understand the fact that in reality that just because the mushrikun did something and practiced something and the Prophet ﷺ allowed it and didn't abolish it, it does not mean that the mushriks were the founders of that act. And from that is at-tawafu bil bayt. The Prophet ﷺ, he clearly cleaned it up. He clearly put it in the boundaries which it needed to be in. And there's no tawaf of a naked person. And there's no tawaf of a mushrik. And there's no wailing and offering this animal and putting his blood here and this. He did all of that. But the sheer act of tawaf was something that was done by his forefathers, Ibrahim and Ismail. Everyone understand this? And it was legislated. And tahira bayti lit-ta'ifin. Alright? So history is extremely important and not getting caught up in many doubts that the people throw against Islam. And from that is clearly destroying that view and that opinion. Everyone understand this? Khayr inshallah. So on and so forth, that's a problem for a Muslim to believe that. Where is his aqidah? And Allah Azza wa Jalla says, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. The Rabb of this house. That's whom they are worshiping. And that's in Surah Quraysh. That every young child is supposed to what? Memorize. So claiming and saying that the Muslims make shirk and worship the Kaaba is just a flat out lie. It's just an erroneous lie. The Quran clearly says, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا. Let them worship. The Lord of this house. And from that worship, in that surah and other surahs is what? It's tawaf. Are you understanding this? So we have to understand, why do we make tawaf? What's important about making tawaf? That's one aspect. And the other aspect is how to make the tawaf. And that is this book. But as I always say, you have to have a mixture of both. If you want to have a successful knowledge, a successful base of knowledge, successful teaching, successful dawah, technicalities, spiritualities, history, sharia, the other things, you have to have a mixture and a blend of all of these different things combined if you want a full effect. Khairan inshallah. So he says, وعند قدوم الحج مكة يطوف للقدوم 7 أشواط يرمل في الثلاثة الأول ويمشي فيما بقي ويقبل الحجر الأسود أو يستلمه بمحجن ويقبل المحجن ونحوه ويستلم الركن اليماني والركن الأسود ويكفي القارن طواف واحدته والحائض تفعل ما يفعل الحاج غير أن لا تطوف بالبيت ويندب الذكر حال الطواف بالمأثور وبعد فراغه يصلي ركعتين في مقام إبراهيم ثم يعود إلى الركن فيستلمه. He gives you a brief, basic, but common that we mentioned, tamattu, qiran, and ifrat. You want to arrive at the what? At the bait. He says, so at that time, you're going to do it 7 times. And what's meant by making the tawaf 7 times is for one's left shoulder to face the Kaaba. The Kaaba will be on the left side, and a person will be going counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, and not actually clockwise with the right on the left. Everyone clear on this? Khairan, inshallah. He said, specify sex or gender here. That's later on. Kharij an nas. The person who's making a tawaf is supposed to walk briskly, not a jog, but like a fast walk, like people do. They walk what? That's exactly what it is, a fast walk, in which your feet are moving really quick, but your legs and the rest of your body isn't moving like you're running or jogging. I would understand it's a fast walk. Now, this is a very interesting ruling here, and that is because the hadith clearly states the reason behind the pagans of Mecca, between war, between peace, between pact. It wasn't a land of Islam yet, and the mushriks, they said to themselves, scorn thing. And the Prophet ﷺ, he told his companions to show the mushriks their muscles, show them your strength, uncover your right arms, show them your what? Strength of the Muslims, and also to do what? Make the ramal. Obviously, someone who's worn down or worn out and beat down and exhausted is not going to what? Do that. So the Prophet ﷺ, he wanted to oppose them, and he wanted to instill fear in their hearts and show the people that the Muslims were strong. Now, al-ittiba'u wal-ramal وَقَدْ نَفَى اللَّهُ الْكُفْرَ وَأَهْلَهُ أو وَقَدْ نَفَى اللَّهُ الشِّرْكَ وَأَهْلَهُ. He says, why are we still uncovering our shoulder shirk and the people of kufr? Mecca is Darul Islam. Why are we still doing this? And he says, however, we will not leave off anything from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have to be careful. All right, when we say, oh, this is no longer a ruling, this no longer applies, that was only in a specific situation. We have to be careful of that. Everyone understand this? Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. So therefore, that is what should be done, he says, in the first 3 units. What do the other scholars say? Should you make masail? Kharijiyah. Those are outside of the text. Compress the text. This is the matan, mukhtasar. And now we do what? Mas'ala. Right? You have one branch, and then you put it on the side. For a man. Is it obligatory? Is it mandatory? Is it recommended? What if it's crowded? What if it's busy? Etc. He says, وَيَمْشِي فِيمَا بَقِيَ كَالْعَادَةِ فِيمَا بَقِيَ مِنْ الْأَشْوَاط. He's supposed to walk concerning the remaining 4 units. Or touch it with a cane, if he has a cane or a staff with him. Everyone understand this? And as we said before, fil al-ghaz al-fiqhiyya, the fiqh riddles, is that kissing a black stone is the only act of worship that cannot be done simultaneously. There are no 2 people that can do it at the same time. Kissing the black stone is the only act of ibadah on the face of the earth that can only be done what? One person at a time. Everyone understand this? For him to have that? Making salah, making hajj, making jihad, getting married, is everything else you can do it. Different time zones, different groups, different jama'at. The black stone is only done what? One at a time. Isn't that amazing if you think about it? How many people may be in that masjid and they can only what? Do it once. That's unique. Everyone understand this? So the black stone should be kissed. And if a person cannot kiss it, then he should at least touch it with the cane. That's why you qabil, and the person should kiss the stick afterwards. To kiss the stick afterwards. Why is he kissing the stick? Is there some physical barakah taken from the black stone put on the stick? Huh? Why is he kissing the stick according to this kalam? What's the purpose of this? Al-Muhim, this is what he says, is that you should do that. Now, min dawabit hadha shay, from the etiquette of this, is not to kiss the black stone at the expense of harming yourself. or at the expense of harming someone else. And I've seen people's noses get busted open. I've seen that ladies get elbowed, huh? With the sound effect in front of the Kaaba. Wallahi, you think it's Muay Thai, huh? Street Fighter, bang, just to kiss the black stone. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, I know I just didn't see that. Is this real? Did a grown man just wham hit a lady with an elbow right in the face, and another guy another time gets hit in his nose, is busting his blood there, because people are fighting and competing just to kiss the black stone. So that's wrong. And the ulama of Islam, they clearly mention bishart an la yu'dhi ahadan. He is not to harm anyone, annoy anyone, nor harm himself. And of course, that doesn't mean that you don't have to, you may just use a little muscle. Allah Alam, the next time you'll be there. This may be your only chance. You may have to what? Be a little persuasive with your what? Your physical prowess. Just a bit. Someone step on you, a wheelchair run you over. All right? My wife, 4 feet of my wife. You may have to go through this. Anyone who's ever been on Hajj and Umrah can what? Relate to the reality of what I'm saying. People are freaking out. All right? Unfortunately. And you may have to go through a little bit just to touch it or kiss it, but not at the expense of harm. Everyone understand this? And breaking your Hajj, breaking your Umrah, doing some type of harm to someone. And we all know, those who have been there, you know how hectic it gets in that inner circle, 2 or 3 rows away from the Kaaba. All right? And people, they don't always stick to the proper etiquette of the tawaf. Everyone understand this? And many people, they'll go down there and they'll walk into the midst of the people and then complain. Okay? Or the bottom what's in his heart. Is it yani ghayra shar'iyya over him? His wife is the only woman in Masjid al-Haram. The only woman there. And someone bumping into her, or her bumping into someone else, is the most abominable sin in the book of Kaba'ir. Ya akhi, why would you bring your wife within 5 or 10 feet to the Kaaba if that's the case? Doesn't it make sense for you to get some distance? So, yeah, I mean, when you make Umrah, of course you're happy, but also makes you sad. And you see the mindset of many, many Muslims that is just not there 100%. And a person should also reach towards and touch the Yemeni corner and the black stone. Both of them, the Yemeni corner and the black stone. He says, as far as the Qarin, the one who's making Qiran, who's making Hajj and Umrah with 1 Ihram, then he only has to make 1 Tawaf. Whereas the one who's making Tamattu has to do what? 2. The Tamattu is Tawaf of Hajj later on. Everyone understand this? As far as the Qarin, he's only doing what? 1 Tawaf. Khalas. Moving forward, he says, and a person should be, and the same applies to Sa'i, and the one who's making Tawaf, he should be upon wudu. He should not be in a state in which he cannot make Salah. Mutawaddi'an. He should be in a state of wudu. Is that a condition of Tawaf? Or is that a recommended thing? And what do the ulama of Islam say about that? What are the proofs and evidences from the Quran and Sunnah that state that a person has to be in wudu when making tawaf? The author chooses the view is that that person is to be in what? Wudu. He says, and a person should make all of the supplications, all of the mentioned supplications while making a tawaf. Bil ma'thur. Meaning there is a hadith supporting this supplication. I.e., if there's no hadith supporting that supplication, then you what? You should not make it. Let alone the people who put together their own mixtures and collages and messy, sloppy compilations. And they say them in a loud voice and unison. They walk together. And they hold up to people and it's like they're marching. That's a problem. And that's something that makes you feel sadness when you make the tawaf. You see the open, plain bid'ah of the people and the ignorance of the people. Who says anything to them? Who advises them? Who stops them from doing that? The holiest site. And where is the amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar? And of course, the people are going to say, well, we can't stop it because the people are ignorant and they don't know and it's going to cause every single year. It never ever stops or changes. All right? So that's a problem with regards to the influence of other things, such as money and politics. Everyone understand this? It's unfortunate. This is the holiest site of Islam. If the enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, and the teaching and stopping falsehood is not upheld here, where will it be upheld? So that's a problem. People, they make those bid'ah du'as. All right? Khairan inshallah. What's the rule on talking while making tawaf? Author doesn't mention anything about that. Can you talk? Can you make a video? What's the rule on taking a selfie while you make tawaf? Is that makruh? Is that disliked? Or is it mustahab? What's the rule on making a live stream when you do the what? Tawaf. Is that riyah, showing off? What's the ruling on these things? These are modern day issues now. All right? I remember in Medina, and there was a time when you had to sneak your cell phone into the masjid. You had to sneak your cell phone in the masjid. Or back in the days when the smartphones were just starting to, become really, really popular like that. And, after the Nokia age, what was it, a BlackBerry? Or just don't turn the masjid into a studio until, you go and just people just taking selfies every 5 seconds. Not saying that it's haram to take a selfie, all right? But the concept of abusing the selfie, abusing it, in which every 2 seconds is a selfie. Allahul Musta'an. Moving forward, he says, وَبَعْدَ فَرَاغِهِ يُصَلِّي رَكْعَتَيْنِ فِي مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ, and then make the 2 rak'ah after the tawaf behind the station of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. And obviously if it's too crowded, then you pray what? Anywhere. If it's too crowded, and in most cases it's oftentimes very crowded. ثُمَّ يُعُودُ إِلَى الرُّكْنِ فَيَسْتَلِمُهُ, then a person should go back to the rukn, the black stone, and touch it, and then he's done his tawaf. He's now over and finished with his tawaf. We'll stop here tonight, and inshallah ta'ala next class we go into the south.